have one here. This would fit through. This would be nailed to the door, and then this would latch securely. And if you want to open it, just lift it up, take that off, and the door would open. This would just hang from a nail or something on the door. And that's all I have for display. Well, I have this little spoon. This could also be used for casting musket balls or whatever around the house. And this is just a decorative diamond twist or pineapple twist. It's just fun.
For what? For fruit?
No, it's just called that because it was kind of like a pineapple.
What would you use it for, though?
It's a decorative element. You could use it on the top of a fence picket.
Oh, okay.
Or on a pole for a door handle, like a bit around.
But how would you make that? How would you make...
So the process to make that is you have to start with, and I'm just going to use this as an example, a piece of square stock iron or steel. And you first cut a little groove along all four flats of the bar. Then you make a twist, one full twist, so 360 degrees. And then you have just a plain twist. And then you hammer that flat again so that you don't have any more twist. Then you cut another groove along the same flats and then untwist it half the amount of twist you put it to begin with. And that opens up.
So how long would that take to make?
Not too long. I've never really timed any of the stuff that it makes, so I have no clue how long it takes you to make anything. But I can make one really quick if you want me to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Okay. Just when that piece is getting hot, too. We can stay hot in there. First I gotta find an appropriate piece of short-ish square stock.
And can you tell me again about the bellow? What's the bellow for?
So this bellows is kind of like a really big version of the ones you might use on your fireplace. And it has a valve in the bottom board right here and some valves in the middle board. And when you pump the bellows, it pumps air into the top part of it, filling it up, which also pumps air into the fire. So you have a constant, steady flow of air blowing through the fire instead of having a little puff, puff with a single bellows. So this is how you keep the fire hot. It's also a whole lot easier than doing this all day. So what I would start with, what I'm going to start with, is this piece of 1/2-inch square stock.
How tough do your hands have to be a blacksmith?
Not particularly. You're kind of stupid if you pick up hot steel, but it does happen occasionally. So this will take about a minute or so to get hot. And I gotta have a couple of tools to do this, most of which I ended up making. This is just a jig to hold that piece still while I cut the grooves, and then I used this hot cutter that I made out of a ball peen hammer because I didn't have a hot cutter to cut the grooves in it. You can hear those valves clicking. That's what that clicking noise is, the valves and the bellows. To mark the flats that I'm counting from with the center punch, so I know which sides, how far to count, which sides I gotta count when I'm twisting it. If you do for a full twist, you have to be able to count the other way evenly, the half the twist you put in it to begin with to make the pattern stand out. do is straighten this up a little bit. I'll put that in there to hold it because I don't have 3 hands. I've got a mark on that side. Well, I've still got a little bit of heat left in the bar. I will mark a slight punch mark that I'll be able to see, I hope. I'm going to use a better punch there. Sorry. Punch. Now I can heat that up and I'll twist it. Now that I have all those grooves cut in it. Takes a while. Now I find my punch marks so I know which side to count my twists from.
Now, what era would you call this blacksmith shop? Like, is it a historical replica of a certain time period, or no, just...
It's built in a style that's been around for probably 200 or years or better. I mean, the post and beam type construction with those, the way those notches are cut, that's been around for a long time. 6, 7, maybe even 1,000 years. I don't know. You could ask Mark Herning, he could give you all the details, but it's authentic to almost any time period you want to portray on this site. Those people who are going to say, oh, well, that's not exactly 1700s, they can go jump in there.
Or come build it themselves.
Or come build it themselves, yes.
Oh my gosh, that worked.
That's just the coal dust.
Initial.
It's much more flammable than the coat itself. So I don't know if you remember from history class the excuse that the United States used to invade Cuba during the Spanish-American War. In the 1890s, there was the battleship USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor, and it was supposedly it was attacked by the Spanish, so they used that excuse to invade. It was a coal dust explosion in one of the bunkers. Coal dust gets in the air in the right concentration, it's extremely explosive. So in a closed space like a bunker,
Yeah.
you get a spark, you have an explosion. It blew the ship just about in half. And it sank, and they used that as an excuse to invade Cuba. There was a war slogan after that was "Remember the Maine."
How hot do you think that is right now?
Down in the heart of the fire, it's probably 2,500 degrees.
God.
But I don't want the steel to get that hot, because with all that air flowing through it, would probably just burn like a sparkler. All the little bits of carbon that are in the mild steel would burn off. It would look like a 4th of July sparkler. That usually produces bad language on my part. Now, if I'm clever, that's if. Now I'm just making a hash out of it. All right.
Quiet, the cabin's open if you want to go in the cabin. It's open. The house right there. Go to the front door.
This is not working out like I had hoped.
And people don't know that.
No, but I do. It's driving me crazy. So I'm going to have to do that all over again.
Now, not every house would have a blacksmith shop, but a community would have one blacksmith shop, like in the, say, the Waxhaws settlement, like early 1800s.
One or two. It just depends on the size of the settlement. If you had a farm such as this, you were in the frontier, you might have a small forge to do work that you needed to have done.
And what would that stuff be for? Like
Fixing
farm?
plow points, fixing trace chains, wagon rims, anything that was made out of iron or steel. More probably, there would have been a central blacksmith shop that people would travel to with broken things to be mended. there could have been a traveling blacksmith. There were traveling setups. They would go around with a wagon, set up in a town that didn't have a smithy or on a farm, and then the word would go out, hey, if you need something, bring it to Jim's farm, and the blacksmith's going to be there to fix whatever you need. If you were really out in the middle of nowhere, and you had a big enough property, you would probably have enough skill to fix what you needed. This is going sideways rapidly. To resize both of those sides because I got one side was set up for 3/8 and the other side was set up for 1/2 inch. Well, so one side was set up for 3/4, but I almost never do a 3/4 inch twist. I don't know why I had that set up for 3/4. I hope I can get this. So I'll have 3/8 inch there, that piece of bar, and I'll reshape that 3/8 on one side, 1/2 inch on the other. And if I ever have to twist a piece of 3/4, I'll just make a 3/4. Wedge it one piece of 1/2 inch into one side and hammer it flat and leave it in there. When I put that piece of 3/8 inch in the other side, then I can hammer both of them together and they should work out to be probably a bigger mess than I was thinking it would be, but you just gotta remember what's hot. And this is hot.
Oh my gosh.
This is absolutely not working.
It looks neat to me.
A nice tall fire to get all that steel in there.
Is there a certain temperature iron has to be able to mold it?
Well, the hotter it is, the better. But like I said, if you get it too much, if you get it close to a white heat, it's almost too hot. And it gets so soft that you actually can deform it. And if you're trying to forge weld, if you get it too hot and strike it too hard, it'll just crumble. So you want it to get, a bright yellow is about as hot as you really want to work it. It doesn't really need to be much hotter than that. And depending on what you're doing, there's some techniques called planishing where you need it to be a dull red, almost black. And all you're trying to do is smooth out the surface without changing the shape. If you tried to planish a piece that you were finishing up at a high heat, you would just make more dents and change the shape. So when you're trying to smooth out the finish, finalize a little bit of shape, a black heat to a dull red is about where you want to be, and use rapid, light hammer blows. You don't want to be wailing away on it.